one of the things about the leak of this IPCC report that's so important is that for the first time, it's going to be focusing on what are called tipping points, which we got into a little bit yesterday on the show, but I want to talk about it more. They had been previously criticized for failing to take account of tipping points. They basically talked about it as a linear process, which it very much is not, the heating of the earth. So for instance, and some of these I apologize, we did talk about yesterday, but I want to go more in depth. As rising temperatures lead to the melting of Arctic permafrost, the unfreezing soil releases methane, a powerful greenhouse gas that in turn causes more heating. It also, as we talked about, releases viruses and things like that, and just carbon, but also methane. So that is a tipping point. Once, if it's frozen or it's not frozen, when it's not frozen, it releases something that makes it actually worse. Other tipping points include the melting of polar ice sheets, which once underway may be almost impossible to reverse, even if carbon emissions are rapidly reduced, and which would raise sea levels catastrophically over many decades. Another is the possibility of the Amazon rainforest switching suddenly to savanna, which scientists have said could come quickly. And with relatively small temperature rises, that would be an absolute disaster, not just because you're literally turning a rainforest into savanna, but also, as of right now at least, to the extent that it still does, the rainforest and places like it would act as carbon sinks. They would take in carbon and they would hold it there. But at some point, they too will begin to release that carbon back into the atmosphere. That is, again, another tipping point. Once we get past that, then it's actually making it even worse. And so the fact that they're finally talking about this is good. I want people to have an understanding of how these tipping points actually work. I hope that will lead to a little bit more understanding the general populace that won't just lead to, as Dan pointed out, well, I should take straws more seriously. Yes, you should, but that's not gonna solve it. Pressure on politicians to do the right thing. Now, I'm gonna risk this. Let's see if we can listen to a little bit of Greta Thunberg responding to some of what came out in these leaks of the upcoming IPCC report.
It confirms what we already knew, that the situation is very dire and that we need to act right now. But at least I find it very hopeful that it seems that many people are becoming more and more ready to tell it like it is. And we can, of course, not face this crisis unless we tell it like it is, unless we are adult enough to tell the truth and to face the reality. So I find this could be something that could lead to something that could wake people up, which is very hopeful, I think.
It's hopeful, maybe unrealistically so. I don't know, Dan, you're a realist. What do you think?
The cynical
media is going to cover it.
Yeah, like it's going to be like a Guardian article or two, and then like it's going to like unfortunately move on, sadly. But like, I'm not going to analyze Greta Thunberg the same way I would analyze like a politician doing damage control, because I would otherwise say that like there were a lot of qualifications in there, like could possibly, which I think is like implicit understanding that like, hey, listen, at this momentum right now, there still needs to be like a lot more to be done. I mean, this is Greta Thunberg, the top like climate activist who has made, like she has become like the face of the movement now, and that's been really good because she can express like this truly like brutal honesty, while also being relatively like, like she can be honest, but she can also represent hope in the future, right? And so ideally we can do something like that, but it's going to involve more than just like a news article. It's gonna say, okay, you have this news article, now what do you do with it? Now what politicians are going to take this information and use it and use their power to pressure those corporations, and then use our people power to provide people power to that pressure and make it a PR nightmare for those corporations and shame them into change. Because I think it's possible on the corporate level, not the political level, to shame people still.
Yeah, I think that we've seen some evidence of that. Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.